happening, everybody? TK here, TK and Drinks. We got a special Friday edition of Inside the Mead Maker Studio where we talk to mead makers from around the world, explore the world of mead making, and check out some of the best meads around. So, thank you for joining me today. Always appreciate the subscribes, the follows, the likes. All that stuff helps me bring you more awesome mead content. Tonight, we are going to be speaking with some international guests. I've been trying to put this together for about the past, I would say close to 6, 7, 8 months now. We'll be talking to the folks over at Cerana Meadery. It's probably not pronounced like that with a nice rolling R, but Cerana Meadery over in India. I'm going to be talking with Ashwini and Yoginee. Hopefully I didn't butcher their names too bad. They are the proprietors, the owners, the creators of Cerana Meadery, or Cerana Meads, not Meadery, Cerana Meads. I always get that wrong. But I'm super excited to talk to them whenever they pop in here. So hopefully that is relatively shortly, because I'm dying to talk to them and get some light adjustments here. Whoop, get that out your eyes. There we go. Get them in here and get you guys some great information and learn about Cerana Meads and my expansion of the international mead maker series. So, looks like we got some people popping in. Appreciate everybody down there. One of them, I believe Ashwini. I don't think let's go see there. Let's see if it connects. Appreciate everybody popping in. What's happening? Happy Friday night to everybody. Getting ready to pop open a mead here. Talk with some of my friends in India. And let everybody know about some tic-tac-toe. We're talking tic-tac-toe tonight on TK and Drinks. Are you X's or O's today, baby? Now, see, I've always been a big X's guy myself. I've never been big into circles. I'm a big X.
Sorry, that was my son's tic-tac-toe.
Hey,
the camera was turned.
No problem. I just like giving you a little rhythm. Thank you so much for joining me tonight. I'm doing phenomenal. Thank you for joining me. It's good to see you again.
Yeah, it's glad to see you again. Okay.
Awesome. Looks like we got Cerana the account here.
I think you need to send a request to Yoginee. Yeah, hey, there
we
she
got
is.
you.
Okay.
Excellent. Thank you. Hello, Yoginee. How are you doing today?
Good.
Thank you, ladies, so much for joining me today. I appreciate you all joining me. And I know it's early in the morning over there. It's 8 o'clock or somewhere around there. I believe it's a weird half hour. Yeah. Okay. Oh, 9:30. That's not so bad on a Saturday morning.
Not at all.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, before you guys join me, I was just telling everybody that I was going to be having the pleasure of speaking with you guys tonight in an expansion of my international mead maker series. I love talking to mead makers from all around the world. I was fortunate enough to speak with some people from South Africa, to speak with some people from Norway. And now I'm really excited to speak to you guys from India and on International Women's Day and to have a phenomenal crew. I'm so stoked and blessed. And thank you guys so much for being here. I appreciate it so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. So why don't you go ahead and quickly introduce yourselves, give us a quick background about the meadery and yourselves, and get us up to speed real quick, and we'll go from there.
Do you want to do that, Ashwini?
Okay. So, okay. So I mean, when I say we, I mean Yoginee and me. We have our first baby. I mean Cerana. Cerana is our baby. So we have our manufacturing facility in Nashik, Maharashtra, India, and we started this in 2019. But the thought behind this process, of making mead and selling it in India, it started almost in 2011 in Yoginee's mind. Yeah, so that was very, very early. Yes. So then it took slowly and steadily, And then yeah, it's a big story actually. So to if we go in detail, it's a very big story. And when she shared a I'll directly come to the point where she shared a thought with me, which is in 2014. And then 2015 we started, doing some batches, R&D batches on a home scale. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, we almost grew almost around 60 to 60, 70 batches. And yeah, we were giving, yes, with the honey, different types of honey, different types of fruits, spices, herbs. And
Yes.
we used to give it to the friends and family and get the feedback from them. And that's how,
Sure.
like, the thought became very, very powerful. Like, yes, we want to do this and we want to make meat and sell it in India. And then further, then the legal processes and those things also happened side by side. And then eventually, we got the permission also because there was no permission for honey to ferment in India, in Maharashtra mainly.
Oh,
So
wow.
that also took almost 9 months in the year of 2017, 2016-17. And when
Okay.
we got that permission in 2017, uh, we uh, we got a place in Nashik. It's a small town. I mean, grown town, but yeah, wine capital of India, you can say.
Nice.
And there are many grape producers over here, and this city is very well, associated with a lot of grape producers, other
Like wine
other things
producers
like
and
bottles. Yeah, I mean
oh,
the bottle manufacturing facilities, the corrugated and caps and everything. So
oh,
everything we get easily, outsourced over here.
nice. That's
Yes. So
super
that's
nice for
like
supply
the
chain.
yes, it's a good thing for us. And then eventually we got the place in 2018, and in 19 we got the license. So step by step,
Yeah.
we were, getting the things done. And
Yeah.
then after starting the meadery, when we used to present our meats to, customer and get the feedback from them, it was a very good time, but then eventually COVID happened, and it was again tough time for
Yeah.
us, considering the very very new brand, upcoming brand, and the tough time everyone over the world
Yeah.
were facing.
Especially
But
seeing how you just
yeah, we
literally
and
spent 5 years getting all your licensing, having to like you know, put new legislation through for your brand. That's a lot to go through to just be shut down because of COVID. I mean, cheers to you for making it through.
e
So far, so good.
yes, yes. So far, so good. And we are still very, very passionate and very positive, very, and we just want to make it in a way that everyone who is enjoying mead should be, should enjoy it and be happy and, feel that serene.
Yeah, no, I agree, and that's
Yeah.
exactly why I want to talk to you guys because I think we have like similar, thoughts about that. You guys have a very um, localized, communal, like you like to get all your ingredients from local areas, support other,
True.
small independent farmers, people who are, just trying to make a living themselves. You're about that, like I said, communal effort and communal support, and I love it.
Yes. Yes. We always think about that. Yes.
It is
Yogini,
so
want to say
unfair that a bottle of mead and I'm drinking coconut water.
Well, I was gonna say, I was gonna
Nice.
ask you earlier, what are you guys drinking tonight? But it's today over there, and 9 o'clock, 9:30 in the morning is not necessarily the, you know, most pristine time for me. But hey, you know what? When special occasions do arise, I say, do as the Romans do, drink all the time.
Cheers.
Cheers. Um,
Cheers. Cheers.
so, so you said you got started all the way back. You started home brewing batches back in 2015. Was that correct?
Yeah, yeah.
Yes.
So
So
what?
uh, we did not know of anybody who was experimenting with honey fermentation. I think, as far as we know, it was just Ashwini and me that we knew of. And India has a lot of different varieties of honey owing to a huge biodiversity and geographical diversity.
Sure.
In a single country, you will find, Himalayas where you get snow. You will get Rajasthan desert. You have a large coastline. You have plateaus. You have Tribuja Pradeshanna काय म्हणतात ग? Give me a sec. I need to know the word in English for this one.
I
It's,
love it.
I know it's
She's stuck
called,
somewhere.
but yeah, basically you have a lot of geographical variety, and because
Yeah.
of that, you have types of flowers, different flora present
Yeah.
in all these locations, and which results in a huge variety of honey that you get here.
Yeah.
I think it is,
Yeah.
as a subcontinent, the kind of geographical diversity and biodiversity India represents is unparalleled in the world. Uh, because see, what happens is we are at the cusp of temperate and tropical zone.
Right.
So we have the benefit of having that variety
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
flora, and because of that, different varieties of honeys are also available. And all these honeys are so unique, so different from each other, and uh, it's just mind-boggling. When we started doing our R, there was no upper cap to what we could try. So we literally tried
Yes.
close to 100 batches before.
Whoa.
So that was like every batch that we did was a shot in the dark, because we don't know. We did not know at that time what it was going to result in. Some honeys fermented beautifully, some honeys fermented really bad. So we
Yeah.
created this huge database to even develop an intuition. So now we don't have to experiment so much when we are thinking of a new recipe, because now
Yeah.
when I say we, it is largely Ashwini, because she is the one who makes me. So she doesn't need to think, she doesn't need to experiment a lot when she's coming up with a new recipe. Like, it's more
Right.
or less an intuition. But at that time in 2015, when we started just experimenting with different honeys, it was crazy. I mean, we used to have this line of carboys with different honeys mixed with water in different proportions, added different yeasts to it, and we don't know whether we're going to make it dry or sweet or off dry.
Yeah.
We do not know anything. We, like, with a blank slate. That was, I think, the most exciting time.
Nice.
True.
The current few for us. So yeah, that's where we come from. So we, by qualification, we are both researchers, right? We both have PhDs. She has a PhD in bioprocess technology. I have a PhD in biotechnology. So
Nice.
design experiments is only second nature. So that was not a big deal. But then getting all this, hmm, getting all this data, making sense of it, that was the most fun part for us, I think. Huh?
How how many meats had you tried prior to this? I mean, because I know you said it goes all the way back to 2011 when you had brought, when Yoginee had brought this forward. Like, how did that all happen? I mean, because that's a 4 year gap from, say, my interpretation, introduction to inception of creating your own products.
So
How did that all be that you've come to find mead?
it's in 2011, I actually got introduced to meads, and I started making meads as a hobby. The idea to start a meadery did not come in 2011. That happened later, like 2014-ish, that happened. And then I told Ashwini that this was on my mind. She was doing her postdoctoral fellowship in Canada at that time. And when I told her, she was pretty excited about it. And she said, you know what, let me come back to India. Let's do this together. She came back to India in 2015, and that is when we started doing the R&D. So it is not like we decided to start this in 2011. We did not do anything
Yeah.
for 4 years. That is not what
Yes.
happened.
The
In
Uh,
1st
2011,
thought, yes.
in 2011, we were still doing our PhD. In fact, she was my guinea pig. When I brewed my first batch of mead, I to all my lab mates, and Ashwini was one of them who tasted the very first mead that I made. And I know a lot of mead makers who brew their first batch end up saying the first mead I made was rocket fuel. Yeah, including you. It is very
Yours too?
because of some prior knowledge of how to do fermentations, etc., or what, or the mead gods were just showering their blessings on me. They wanted somebody to start a meadery in India. I don't know what it was, but my first batch was pretty well. Or maybe it was just the honey. I don't know what it was, but it was a very. Oh, where did that thought came from? Is what you asked me. So our PhD was in food tech department,
Professor.
food tech department at the Institute of Chemical Technology, Mumbai. That is where we did our PhD from. So a lot of food
Food.
research.
Okay.
Yeah, a lot of food researchers used to come to seek collaboration in our in our department. And one such professor had come from the UK, and he and I were talking about his country and our country, and he was the one who told me about Mead. I was going to travel to UK at that time, and I told him that I'm going to travel to your country. He asked me where all are you going to visit. I told him I will be going to London and Edinburgh, and he said if you're going to Edinburgh, you have to try this heather flower honey mead. And I asked him what is mead, and then he told me that it's an alcoholic beverage made by fermenting honey. And every word in that sentence was like, oh, okay, interesting. So there was always an interest in fermentation. Honeybees were always a fascinating insect for me. And
Yeah.
I did go to Edinburgh. I did try to get my hands on the heather flower honey. At that time, I did not know the brand of that mead. Later on, I found out it was Moniac, but I could not get my hands on it. But the
Yeah.
thought in my mind, and after I came back from the UK, that it was always there, it was like it was always there doing something in my head that mead. So I said I have to make one myself, and it was like literally there was a half empty jar of some random honey that I had uh, in my supplies. And I was just so desperate to start making mead that I just took that honey, I just added some water to it. I opened my fridge, I saw this baker's yeast, and I just used that baker's yeast and
Yeah,
started.
that was
Hey, hey, yeast is yeast when it
first
comes to introductory
yeast
level.
is yeast.
And then the result
True.
product that was there. So because I had access to food tech, everything that was there in the food tech lab, I had potassium, I had everything that I needed. So after the fermentation started,
Yeah.
that is when I started reading up how to make mead while the fermentation was going on. So you understand the level of desperation I had to start making mead was so much that I did not even like bother reading about it first. First, I mixed honey and water and I added. Then I started reading about it. Fortunately, I had access to DAP, KMS, whatever I needed. So I just like started using it after the pitching.
Yeah.
And meat turned out pretty well. And for baker's yeast, I got 9% ABV, which was impressive, I would say.
Yeah. For bread yeast, I would say 9% is pretty dang impressive.
That must be fake yeast.
No,
That
Exactly.
must be fake yeast.
well,
So
I love that you bring that up, that you went to the pantry and got, baking yeast. I'm going to be speaking to some microbiologists about yeast and the differences between baking yeast and wine yeast and everything. So, anybody that's willing to, like you said, I love the term you. I had a desperation to make mead, so I just grabbed what I can just picture you just like frantically, just like I'm just so overwhelmed and so consumed with this thought. I need to just grab everything and throw it together like a mad scientist, like
Yeah.
I picture like goggles and big old gloves and beakers, and you're pouring stuff and there's smoke explosions
okay.
and
I can imagine like how she
maybe one
made
smoke
Yogini at that
explosion.
time. Yeah. I
But
want honey, I want spices, I want yeast, I want a jar, I want a muslin cloth. Yes, yes, grab all the things, add it, and just
No,
start mead making.
zero
awesome. But
knowledge about airlocks and anything. I did not know anything. I put
yeah,
a jar, I put a muslin cloth on it with a rubber band tied around its neck so that nothing falls in. That is
yeah.
how I fermented the first batch. It was
No
fun.
airlock, just a piece of cheesecloth or cloth.
Yes,
Yeah, yeah.
just
Cheesecloth, yes.
choose.
If it's the same, I don't know. We use
Yeah,
different words. Yeah.
yeah, but it's yeah. That's hey, you know what? Like I said, I love the term. Like I said, I was so desperate to make me, and it turned out well. And you're I mean, here we are,
Yeah.
10 years later almost, and you're that much better for it. Have how long or when was the first time you had a mead other than your own in India?
So I can answer that for myself right now
Sure.
because I started getting more interested in mead as a beverage. Then in my next visit to UK, I tried several meads that I could get my hands on. Moniac was one of them, and I really liked it. I'm
Yeah.
not a dessert wine or a dessert mead person per se. I don't
Mm.
like alcoholic beverages. Mm-mm. But Moniac Mead, despite being sweet, I really liked it. It's so well balanced, and it was it was it was really like a great experience. And then I tried a bunch of other meads, which were not so great. They're fairly syrupy and cloying.
Ooh,
So that
yeah.
new perspective as to in which direction we should go. I brought all those bottles back for Ashwini also, obviously,
Yes,
so that we could do our own.
that was the only first mead. Other than Cerana, I tried
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Moniac, obviously, and then we tried Largato, I guess.
What was it called? L. There was a brand that started with L, and they had fortified meats. So they had like
Uh
24% alcohol meats. Uh,
oh, what is their name? Lansco?
Lanscombe, or maybe there were a couple of brands that started with L. I don't really remember now, but yeah, different types
Gotcha.
of meats. Uh, I brought them back. And then we realized that we did not try any low alcohol mead. That is something that I first tried actually in UC Davis when I came there to study mead making at the Robert Mondavi Pollination Honey and Pollination Center.
Yeah.
So yeah, so that's where I actually tried a huge variety of meats, and Ashwini really missed out on that. She was a new mom, and her son was very young, and she could not travel, so I only traveled.
How dare you be a decent parent?
Well, what can you do?
No,
Sorry, I'm just
that's
thinking.
um. So, when you say low ABV, you don't just mean low ABV. You mean also low ABV and carbonated and like that whole session style and everything, right?
Yeah, or hydromels
Yeah.
as they are. Also.
Well,
So yeah,
I was just having a
not try till much later actually. 2017 is when I came there. So yeah, that is when we tried them actually.
okay.
Yeah.
And what's your thoughts on just kind of quick sidetrack on the term like session meads versus carbonated hydromels? Because a session, my interpretation of the session was always like came from like the brewing world, and it's a carbonated hydromel is a little bit different of a thing. It doesn't even have to be a hydromel. It can be like a standard strength mead as well, carbonated. But like, where do you stand on using that term session mead versus not?
So at least my understanding of the word session goes, it's sessionable, like you can easy sipping drink. In my
Mhm.
opinion, it needs to be low alcohol. It cannot be higher than 5 or 6% for it to
Okay.
be made. That is how I look at it. Uh,
I think yeah, there's some guys over here doing sessionable meads that are like 8-9%.
okay, I think it's a very personal interpretation. I will get tipsy if I have 2 pints of 6%, right? So
Oh,
for
for
me,
sure.
yeah. For me, sessionable is much lower alcohol than that. For Ashwini and me both, actually, we are both very low weight people.
Gotcha. So, when it came to designing your guys, the Cerana Meadery flavor and style profile, is that what you went with? Was a lighter, more sessionable mead, something that's not quite, as you said, on the dessert side. You like that more, uh, lighter, refreshing, bubbly type of meads.
Can I take that, Ashwini?
Yeah,
Uh,
okay.
Nobody knew what the hell meads are in India at that time, and
Oh,
Indian crowd.
Yes.
Uh, and unfortunately, at least till several years ago, larger number of people were more price sensitive. They wanted a better bang for their buck,
hmm
and that is why I thought that giving them something which comes in a pocket-friendly range. It was a pure business decision, basically. Pocket-friendly range would make more sense. Would make them make the barrier to from discovery and purchase will be reduced, and more people will end up buying that product if it is given a pocket friendly range. So that was the reason why we decided to go with hydromel style of meads, like
Okay.
low alcohol meads. But our main our main love is in standard meads. So this was
Oh.
the first standard we made. The bottle happens to be here.
Oh, it just
Our
happens to be there.
it's just there. It's just there. They're always around
Uh,
at
oh, I'm
my
sure. A Yule mead. Okay.
Yule.
So assuming that's like holiday spices.
Yes, exactly. So we make it with jamun honey and we add cinnamon ginger to it and we mature it with some oak for a little while. So it becomes
Ooh,
this very vintage, woody spices, very aromatic, honey forward mead that we have made.
nice.
11.5% ABV, warms you right up. It's quite nice.
Heck yeah. I'm gonna kind of shift gears here real quick and get some kind of technical stuff in because you're talking about different honey varieties, and you had mentioned, back in the beginning, you kind of, I believe the term you said was taking shots in the dark. You were just kind of trying to figure out, what honeys play with what yeasts and everything. And Ashwini, what is do you guys have a standard yeast protocol that you use now, or do you have like a yeast profile for different honey varietals, or how do you guys go selecting that type of stuff?
So generally, what we are using the wine yeast only. It's not like specific any yeast. So we do have a specific yeast of for our different mead varieties, and yes, so honey which we are getting from the beekeeper, they do play a different role because some honey has different aromas, and we combine them with the local fruits and juices, so it gives a different at the end it gives a different flavors and aroma profile also.
Yeah.
So it plays a very important role. But yes, wine yeast generally, so which are like normally used all over the world. So
Okay.
we are using those only. Yeah.
Okay. So the same thing that everybody else is using, like DV10, 71B, and
Yeah. Triple one,
D47, those types of things.
37. Yes, yes.
Okay.
But different for different meat recipes.
So
Sure. So each mead recipe gets its own yeast curated for its intended flavor profile.
True.
exactly. We
All
want
right.
to
Well,
go for low sulfur producing strains which are not so fastidious when it comes to their nitrogen requirements, and
yeah.
preferably we go for our neutral yeast strains, preferably we but we would like to experiment a little more with some yeasts that we have categorically stayed away from till date,
Ooh.
like champagne yeasts. Maybe it'll be good to just experiment with them a little,
Have you
just
guys ever worked with like a high temperature yeast, like a Kveik yeast or something?
we have.
We tried it. It's in the it's on a very root level right now, those studies, but not on commercial level, obviously.
Oh, oh,
Whenever,
so we're just getting into Kveik yeast. Okay.
whenever we
Yeah.
quick, it's the most mind-boggling thing for us is like it is the yeast that can ferment at the highest temperature and it comes from one of the coldest countries on the planet. So,
Yeah.
it's
Tally them bananas, right?
exactly. So we are always
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just been something that we are curious about, but we have really not put our heart and soul into finding what we can do. Plus, Indian honeys in particular are very heavily aromatic as compared to temperate honeys. Tropical honeys are more aromatic because tropical flowers are more aromatic. So we have a lot of volatile flavor nuances in our honeys. We are not very sure how they would turn out after fermentation at high temperatures with Kuwait, because a lot of CO2 scrubbing might uh, get rid of all those nuances. So we are not really sure. We should experiment more, but we just don't have the time.
Oh, okay. It's like you got a couple of scientists and I'm talking about we don't know. Like you guys come from the world of experimentation.
I know, but trust me, we barely have time to do any
Now that,
experiment. Uh, well, when you switch from homebrewing meads to having a business of meads, the
yeah.
experimentation bit sort of takes a backseat, and you
Yeah.
end up doing more what works, So
What size batches are you guys making? And what size did you start off when you were home brewing? I'm just curious of what like the differences may
Home
be.
talking in metric
homebrew batches,
Liters is fine.
liters is fine. So homebrew batches were about 4 to 5 liters,
five,
So
sometimes
okay,
maybe
so
two
that's about
also,
a
five
gallon and a half to
liters.
2 gallons.
Yeah.
yeah, depending.
And yes. And the commercial is like 10 HL, 20 HL, 50 HL,
Oh, I don't know my
hectoliter,
hectoliters. So
5,000 liter, 2,000 liter, 1,000 liter.
so
5,000.
oh wow, okay, so that's some significant jumps there. So 1,000 liters, I'm trying to do my math. 1,000 liters is around like 300-ish gallons, maybe a little less than 300 gallons.
I think it's
We'll have to.
400 gallons, right?
Maybe see now we got to start working with imperial gallons versus U.S. gallons. But so it I mean we're talking several hundreds or thousands of gallons. I mean thousands of liters. We're talking multiple thousands of gallons. So you have some serious growing that you did as far as you're
Definitely.
scaling up from home brewing to commercial. Did you um, use any of those recipes from the homebrew days to scale those up, or did you kind of create all new stuff off of given the size of the equipment?
All recipes from homebrew to commercial.
On homebrew. Literally all of
Gotcha.
them commercial. And
Yeah.
I do want to share something about this bottle that I showed you. You
Yeah.
remember that first that I made in desperation?
Yes.
It's a good
This
one.
was
This is the
this
commercial version of Yoginee's first batch in the
Oh.
kitchen or maybe in the lab. Yes.
first ever.
That's the commercial version. So we launched this product in 2020, and this is our seasonal mead. I mean, we launch this around Christmas time. It's a small batch which
Yeah.
runs for 2 to 3 months maximum. Yes,
Okay.
during
Do
those
you
winter days. Yeah.
do you have like what kind of tanks do you have? Do you have like variable volume tanks? Do you have several different sizes of tanks for different sizes of batches, or do you guys just pretty much jam out the same size batch and doctor say one traditional and then spread that across multiple end flavor profiles?
So we don't have variable volume tanks. We have fixed volume
Okay.
tanks. Most of them are conical based. One of them is flat bottom
Ooh.
for fruit based meads, which are more pulpy and
Yep.
have more solid. And we don't do make one traditional and split it into various batches, because for every batch we use different varietal honey. For every mead we use different varietal honey. So we have in all 6 SKUs, and we use 4 different varietal honeys in all of them. And
Okay.
then same honey that goes into 2 different recipes, the alcohol concentration is different, so we can't use it for a basic traditional batch and then split.
Gotcha.
For example, we use jamun full spice, which is 11.5, and we use jamun honey in our jamun melomel, which is 6-7%. So we can't make one common traditional batch and then split. So
I have to say I'm dying to try that one because that's something we can't get here in America as far as I'm concerned, or as far as I know. Like, if there's somebody that has one of those, I've never seen one here in America, either commercially or on the homebrew level, with as much searching as I've done. Um, so I'm most interested to try that. I have a friend who's going to be traveling to India, and I'm praying to all the mead gods that they can link up somehow with you guys and get one of them bottles back for me. Um, but you said you use exclusively varietal honeys, and you'd mentioned a honey supplier before. Do you use one honey supplier exclusively, or do you use different suppliers for different varietals?
so we have we have a honey sort of an aggregator here who intern deals with different beekeepers.
Okay, I was gonna say like a honey dealer,
Yes,
like a
no, but
honey
he
broker.
yes, so he has his own apiaries as well. So they have
Oh,
their own
okay,
apiaries, and then they also send their own bee boxes. But yes, in a sense, our vendor is one single vendor, but the
gotcha.
that he sources from different people according to our
So
specifications.
he goes out and finds all this stuff. He scouts out the different beekeepers and the different locations for what you guys need, and then he collects it all and you get it from him directly. And
Yes. And also, we will make sure that the honey collected by the beekeeper will be from the super chamber,
what's that
not
That
from the
mean?
brood chamber.
that is something that
Right.
is in the US. So nobody in US I
But
collect.
here,
That is something we do in India. So
India,
yeah,
yeah.
box, like in the bee box, there is a brood chamber and a super chamber. Yeah, and the
Yes.
surplus gets stored in super chamber. That is where it is harvested, collected from. But in India, a lot of beekeepers collect it from the brood chamber itself. So
Oh,
we wanted to break that practice. So we insisted on beekeepers using a separate super chamber and only collect honey from there. And we promised them that we will pay a premium price for it. And we are very happy to tell you that we have converted several beekeepers into following the proper practices for honey harvesting, honey beekeeping.
I gotcha. So you're helping educate the more rural beekeepers into more sustainable practices and telling them that, hey, we'll pay you a fair trade price if you guys convert from this more traditional practice to something that's more economical and more sustainable.
I will not use the
Yeah.
word educating them because we are not directly educating them. We are just
Oh,
sort of
well.
Well,
incentivizing them to do it properly.
So would you
That,
say that it
their
would cost,
their
would you say that
experience
it
of
would cost, oh, sorry, go ahead.
you go ahead.
Would you say that incentivizing them is then, like, say, cheaper than educating them? I'm just trying to get a feeling because that seems like an awkward, in my personal opinion, kind of an awkward way to put it. Like you wanted to stay away from the term educating them.
Because we are not educating them. They
Huh?
already know that that's the proper way of doing beekeeping, but they are not doing it because it costs
Oh,
money and more management for them. So
oh,
they are trying
okay.
workload and they're okay to get paid less for that honey rather than work extra. And nobody was demanding super honey from them before. People who
Gotcha.
were collecting,
So,
people who were purchasing honey were not bothered about which part of the bee box it was coming from. It was us who started doing this, like insisting that no, we do not want to collect the honey from the brood chamber. So that is when it sort of rolled into them actually investing in super chambers and extracting honey from super chambers. So it is not enough to just tell them that this is a proper way to do things. You have to also tell them what is in it for them. And what is in it for them is the money incentive that we offered, that we will pay you more if you give us this kind of honey. And that is when they ended up doing this.
I guess it's education, but just like maybe not in the way I was thinking of it. But you're informing them of the incentivization process of it and the benefit, not to say benefits scientifically because they're already aware of that, but the benefits
It
of
would be
creating a higher quality product.
education would be if they did not know and we told them to do it that way would be education, but they already do know and they choose
Gotcha.
not to
Okay.
do it because nobody is insisting. So we insisted and then we incentivized. So that is why we want to stay away from the word education. That is all.
Hey, the fact that you had that whole speech planned out, that means that that's something that you've ran into multiple times in the past. That's not a first time speech right there.
I
How many
just
different
I'm just a good speaker. That's all.
Hey, well, congrats to you for that. There's
um,
many people like me that are not good speakers naturally.
I have one request. I have one time bound commitment. So
Oh,
can I take a leave, Yogini and TK, please?
oh, absolutely. If you have to take off, please, absolutely. I no time commitments for me. Absolutely. I appreciate you joining in tonight and Thank you so much.
Thank you. I'm so sorry, but it came like it's a very unfortunate thing actually. I'm actually enjoying this session, but
Oh,
I can't help it.
no
But
worries.
yeah,
We'll set up something again where we can have a full discussion in a much longer,
definitely.
format.
And come back to India soon.
I
Keep
would,
us updated about your next trip.
absolutely.
We will make a special batch here in
Hey,
Cerana Meads.
hey, I would love to make a collaborative batch. That would be my honor and my pleasure. So, thank you much, Miss Ashwini, and have a fantastic rest of your day.
Bye, Ash.
Bye bye.
Bye. So you have a bit of time to stay with us, correct?
I do, yes.
Yes, awesome. Um, so I kind of just lost my train of thought there. But so you guys have, you've convinced, or you're working with these beekeepers out in the more rural areas, collecting um, what you say are varietals. I think you've used that term varietals for all your different meads. What is your, or do you have any? How do I put it? Um, Do you have any guarantees that these are varietals that you're getting? Do they have any sort of certification process in place? Not that we have anything really here in America. I'm just kind of curious of how it goes.
Um, so what we do here is that when the harvest is going on, we insist on video monitoring of
Oh,
the harvest so
look
that
at
we
you here,
know.
quality control.
We started our operations in 2019, and 2020 is when the lockdown happened. So there was no possibility of physically going and checking all these things out. So the system sort of was a need of the hour kind of a
Yeah.
thing. And apart from that, from the locations that it is being collected from, the kind of plantations that are there, they will give us that honey only. For example, the lychee honey that we get, it comes from Bihar.
Ooh.
Bihar has a lot of lychee orchards. So when the flowering season is going on, the beekeepers keep their bee boxes in those orchards, and then they get the lychee honey.
Yeah.
So in this manner, then we can ensure that, and of course, the taste and flavor of the honey also matters. And then there is always the video monitoring to ensure that the honey is in fact being collected from the super chambers. So yeah.
Wow. A video monitoring process. How was it easy to convince the beekeepers in the apiaries to put those in place?
They suggested it.
We'll say they suggested it.
Yes, we asked them, how, we would come and we would check that, this is how you're. Can you give me a second? Somebody at the door. I need to.
Absolutely. No, yeah, please, no. Take care. I can do this whole thing. Yeah, so that's a interesting way of going about it. Video monitoring the beekeepers to see what they've got going on, and they're the ones who suggested it. I mean, I guess I could see it, especially if it's 2019, 2020, you're trying to um, you know keep everything, especially 2020 and beyond, trying to keep less people from your facilities, and the fact that they want to do the video monitoring, that's very cool, and I'm assuming it's been successful for you guys.
Fairly. I mean, we don't do it every day and for all the harvest, but we just do, like, how do you say it, like a one-time thing. For this harvest, this we have monitored, and now we are moving on. That kind of a thing. We can't do
Gotcha.
it every time for every harvest for every
Oh
box.
yeah.
We'll have to keep doing it every day till the flowering is
Oh
going on.
yeah.
But yeah,
That.
there is a bit of trust factor also over there, and there is a bit of monitoring also that happens. So yeah.
So how many different varietals do you guys have access to? That's a really cool thing, because I'm aware of a lot of the varietals that we have here, but it always intrigues me to know what other varietals come from places that I can't, that I don't have access to.
So we in our meads we use four different types of honeys. One of them is lychee honey, as I mentioned.
Yes.
Uh, Mustard honey, mustard.
Whoa.
It's a beautiful honey. It's much sweeter as compared to all the other honeys that we have. So
Really?
it has crystallized more also as compared to some of the other honeys because of the glucose fructose ratio. The third honey that we use is I mentioned lychee, mustard. We use jamun honey. Jamun
Yeah.
honey is a
See.
spice. And the fourth honey that we use is a multifloral honey that comes from the jungles in Himachal Pradesh. So again, if it's multifloral, that particular geography will give you that honey. Like we
Yeah.
get multifloral honey a lot of different places in India, and all of them are different from each other.
Yeah.
And we would love to use eventually in our meads some cedar honey, some ajwain honey, and if we get our hands on it, orange blossom honey, because we do have orange plantations here in
Oh,
India.
nice. Yeah.
India has, it's well known for its oranges. Actually, I think Nagpur oranges have a geo tag associated with them also, but I'm not
Wow.
sure. Yeah, but what happens is they do a lot of pesticide spraying when the flowering is happening. So beekeepers
Yeah.
keep their bee boxes there. So we have been behind some orange growers to switch to organic farming so that some beekeepers will be okay keeping their bees there. But now it has become like nobody wants to take their bees to orange orchards because they have suffered heavy losses before because the bees died due to pesticides. So it's very difficult
Oh
to get
yeah.
your orange blossom honey here.
Oh
But yeah,
yeah.
if we would love to use it.
See, I right now I'm living on an I live on an almond orchard, and they use pesticides, but they have the planes that come in and do the crop dusting and everything, and it's really hard for the places that are trying to, like you're saying, stay organic and do everything natural in the the more correct way or whatever you want to put it. Because the wind doesn't determine, oh, hey, those guys, let me not go blow the wind over there and get those guys with the pesticides and everything. Plus, from what I understand, almond honey is not that good. Everyone says it's really bitter, which is really unfortunate because there's a ton of it everywhere here. Is there been any honey varietals that you guys have come across that you just like have decided like, ooh, this is not for us. It's too potent. It's too acidic or phenolic or something like that?
So we have tried experimenting with Indian acacia honey, and it
Ooh,
has
oh,
just not worked for us. And then we also asked other mead makers if they have tried using it, and their opinion was also the same. So that sort of gave us reassurance that we were not bad because as a it's so beautiful, but when you ferment it, it just there is this particular aroma in it which is just so bad. I can't. I don't know what happens to it. It'd be good to analyze it. Actually, should send some samples to GCMS, something like that.
yeah,
But
yeah,
yeah, we just ended up. So rather than focusing on the research part of it, we focused on what is good and what is marketable part of it because we are running a business. But yes, in
oh,
another life, I would like to just put my entire time to researching different types of honeys and
yeah. Well, you were talking about adjuncts and stuff before. We got a question here that says, have you ever used saffron in a mead? And if so, what style was it, and other adjuncts that you may have paired with it?
so we are right now experimenting with in our initial days we did meads with fruits in them, largely melomel kind of meads we did, and then we thought that it would be a good idea to experiment with some flowers. So we launched one mead in that category, which was a blue pea lavender mead. So it's
Ooh, yeah.
a beautiful mead with a magical color, and the aroma is nice. And we use the mustard honey in it, which is a sweeter honey, as I said.
Wow.
So that's fairly interesting meat that we have, and it the market has also accepted it with like there's a very strong acceptance for that meat. So
Oh,
now we
nice.
are trying with flowers, and yes, saffron is a contender, but
Ooh.
we have so far not made a mead with saffron. In our
Oh,
2070 batches days, yes, we have made a mead with saffron. It was really good. But we noticed that over time, the aroma profile changes. It doesn't stay like that. And at that time,
oh,
we decided to focus on it, do something else that is rather, easier to execute and more consistent for the market.
gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay. And you had mentioned, which makes complete sense because saffron's an incredibly strong and very unique and characteristic profile. Yeah, you had mentioned pea blossom, butterfly pea blossom. We're in America, we're not actually allowed to use that as mead makers commercially. We have a list of restricted ingredients and stuff. And unfortunately, butterfly pea blossom is one of that's amazing. That's lavender pea blossom. That's freaking rad. Um, Are there any ingredients you guys are restricted from using? Because I know you said back, you even had the petition to potentially get honey as a fermentable sugar. Is there things that you guys aren't allowed to work with per government regulations?
So as of now, the Food Safety Standards Authority of India, or FSSAI as it is called,
Okay.
they are, because meadery started just now. There were no regulations, pre-existing regulations, but very recently we had a meeting with some decision-making body of the Food Safety Standards Authority, and they have promised us that they will come up with some fair regulations for meat. So as of now, there are no restrictions for any ingredients, but we are soon expecting some to come forward. Why is it that
Ooh.
he is restricted from use in meat in US? Do you know what is the reason?
No, honestly, I don't know. I haven't looked into it. So our federal governing organization has different categories for winemaking and for beer brewing. I'm not quite sure on spirit distillation, but there's a clear definition on these ingredients can be used in brewing, ingredients can be used in winemaking. There's a good variety of overlap, but like any grains, so no meadery is allowed to make like a braggot or anything like that because they have grains in them. So anytime you see a braggot that's commercially available, that is 100% a collaboration with a brewery or a meadery that has a brewery license as well in some capacity.
No, I was just wondering. I understand the restriction of grains
Yeah,
being used in a, because it's a whole different license.
right.
But meat, by definition, is honey fermented with or without addition of fruits, herbs, and spices. And a
It,
dried flower ideally is, by definition, a herb or a spice. So, if
yeah.
that specific ingredient is being restricted, I just wanted to know if there is any safety reason behind it.
Oh,
Because,
oh no.
no.
No. That's solely a red tape bureaucratical thing with people that are not educated on the process and who have been placed in a place of authority, and they basically do things that they want to do that don't really understand the full outcome of their actions.
Okay, in that case, I feel very fortunate to be in my country because the authorities are actually making an effort to understand what the
Oh
category
yeah.
is. They are willing to, discuss with us what all should be the regulations and what all should not be. They will do their own vetting, of course. They will not just take everything from us. But
Yeah.
yeah, that's
Hey,
makes
the
me
fact
feel
that they're
proud
will well
to
the
be
fact
on
that
this side of.
yeah, the fact that they're willing to listen to you directly without having some sort of intermediary organization, some sort of I don't know, advocacy group or something, for lack of a better term, like we would have here in America, who would
Yeah, but
say lobby and legislate on behalf of mead makers. You guys do
we
it directly. I
those,
mean,
and through those only we are in communication with the authorities. So
I
we
love it.
have wine producers associations are there in India. Those those associations are made up with members like us only. But
Sure.
yeah, they do these things for the industry, and I'm
No.
happy that the government support has been so far at least not a hindrance,
Oh,
that's how I will put it.
oh,
I
yeah.
say that it is all, everything is hunky dory, but largely they are in support of these things because they understand the importance that agricultural sector has because of this. So you like there is always this thing in India, right? Alcohol is bad. You should ban alcohol. There should be
Sure.
prohibition. But there is a segment of people who are strong proponents of prohibition. But the fact remains that alcohol has been and will be for hundreds of years and 100 years in future a part of human culture. It will never vanish. So then it is in our hands to see how you can give it a good direction. And I think mead makes that possible because it's the most sustainable alcoholic beverage because you're making it from honey and not some agricultural crop.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
I was just reading through the comments here, and they're getting some explanations here. So my buddy Stephen here was saying, so wineries and meaderies can use fruits and natural sugars in fermentation, as to where breweries and distilleries can only use those post fermentation.
Okay. But it has nothing. It doesn't say anything about why
No,
the flower.
again, no. Again, he's just reciting. He's a very knowledgeable guy, and he was telling me like why those like what the definitions of those are, like what these Ks can and can't do. But I'm pretty sure he's going to confer with me when he says why is going to be completely because of inept bureaucracy,
Is
for lack of
anybody listening
a
to
better term.
trouble for saying these things? I'm just wondering.
No, I kind of pride myself on taking a stance like that. I'm actually having a few interviews with some of our intermediary bodies. You know, the American Mead Makers Association, and then there's a new group coming up called the Mead Institute, and they both claim to have Mead's best interest, American Mead's best interest at heart. We're doing legislation and stuff, so I want to try to, you know, ask them what they're doing and all this stuff because you know, like you're saying, you feel blessed that you have access to all these things. You're, like I said, you're working directly with the, I can't remember what the acronym you use, the FSSBI or something.
Food Safety Standards Authority of India,
So you,
FSSA.
AI. So you get to work with them directly, or I mean, they're willing to work with you. There are intermediary organizations, but it's not necessary because you get to work directly. Here in America, it's completely we have a term here in America called it's the Wild West. You know, everything is it's just it's lawless almost. Not necessarily lawless, but there's no one ruling authority. There's lots of different authorities who rule over different parts of things with kind of varying degrees of knowledgeability in the process. So you have one authority that you have to go to get your recipe approved. Then you have a second completely different organization who you have to go through to get your label approved. So, for example, you can make a root beer flavored mead here with all the ingredients necessary to make a root beer flavored mead because all those ingredients are acceptable um, uh, ingredients to ferment with for a mead, but you couldn't actually call it like a root beer mead because the term root beer mead or name it root beer because you didn't actually put root beer in during the fermentation process or in the mead. You created a root beer out of it, but you didn't put root beer in it, so you can't call it a root beer because there's no root beer in it. Tell me what kind of sense that makes.
We do have such rules here also. Like the
Oh,
label should clearly what is there in the bottle. It cannot be misleading. So maybe that is the case with root beer mead. People might pick it up thinking it's root beer and then it's misleading. You know, why did you call it
sure.
root beer? So that is consumer centric decision that they have probably come up with. And I think it
Yeah.
is fair in my opinion. Don't hate me for
Sure.
it.
No. I use that as an example here because it's one that's fairly common, and I completely agree that there needs to be label standardizations. There needs to be certainly times where you can and cannot use certain terms, say like all natural, or different other like organic or other like terms. But for them to do certain things, it just seems very like my friend said, there's no rhyme or reason to it. It's very arbitrary how they pick and choose what they do.
A good
There's no
reason.
standard to their standards.
Understood. So here the Food Safety Authority, Food Safety Standards Authority controls everything centrally. It is a nationwide. Uh,
Yeah,
their rules and regulations apply to everybody in the country, but the
nice.
taxation is managed on a state level. So we also have two, three different labeling. Also is handled by a different
Oh,
department. So we do respond to different departments here, and
Gotcha.
all of them with sometimes conflicting regulations to each other.
Yeah.
But if
Yeah.
that is, we are not penalized for it for their mistakes. So they do accept, and they go back and they consolidate things so that there are no conflicting rules and regulations.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it is smooth. They do need to come up with a system by means of which all the smaller updates become more easier to understand for us.
Sure.
So, but that's okay. That we are going to the political side of it more, the policy
Yeah.
making.
Oh
Let's
yeah.
stick to the meat.
Absolutely. Yeah. Let's stick to the mead. So what is the next step for Cerana Meadery? You guys have been in business for coming up, on
four
well, you
years,
said you opened in 2000, you
19.
said four, yeah. Yeah, so yeah, 19. You've been working since 14. You opened in 19, so you're coming up on your big 5-year anniversary. Do you have anything big planned for that? And then what does the next 5 years look like?
So in November, we celebrated our 4-year anniversary. Actually, in 2019, November is when we got our license.
Okay.
And to be honest, 2 years after that, just went in surviving through the lockdown and pandemic. So business did not do as well as or at all as we had thought it would. For us, for all practical purposes, we have been in the market for only 2 years, not 4 years,
That's
because the 2 years just.
fair. That's fair.
But no, there was the learning was a lot in those 2 years when we could not go out in the market and do what we wanted to do. Uh, the plan for the coming financial year is we are right now available only in the state of Maharashtra, where we are from. For next
Okay.
year, we plan to expand our distribution outside Maharashtra and outside India also. That is a plan. And there is one very exciting recipe that Ashwini has been working on. We are in the process of finalizing it and then sending it out for its stability studies, etc. Once that is done, in the calendar year 2024, we will have one more mead in the portfolio of all of our meads. So,
How many meads make up your guys' core set of meads?
6 meads. 4 of them are low, like hydromels, and
Yep.
2 of them are standard meads. One of them is Yule Spice, the other one is a piment. We make it with Pinot Noir grapes and honey.
Man, that sounds delicious.
When are you coming to India, Ashwini? Before she left, she was asking you that.
Oh, hey, I don't know when I'm going to be able to make it to India, but trust me, I would love to make it. Like I said, I have some friends that have a residence near Mumbai. Now when I say near, I mean like I think they said like a 6 to 8 hour drive from there, roughly out into the countryside somewhere. So, um, I don't really have any say plans to go there, but I would love to get to India, especially now that I'm making tons of connections there and be able to take a tour. I got two other things I'd love to ask you about real quick. You have a comment here from ooh, I butcher y'all's names. Yashoda?
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah, it
yeah.
says a tap room.
Yeah, so something very exciting happened to us last week. We launched our tap room. When we had a conversation, I think I told you about it.
Yeah,
Uh, so at that time, it was going to be launched. Now it is launched. It is in
yes.
Nashik, uh, quite a fair distance away from the meadery. The meadery is in Sinnar area of Nashik. The tap room is in Trimbak area of Nashik. It's an hour's drive away from the meadery, but it
That's
is
not
set in
terrible.
location. If you check our handle out lately, all the posts literally have been just about the tap room. So the
Nice.
entire team is super excited. Yashara is my marketing head, by the way. That's why she's prompting me. Okay, say this, say this.
Oh, gotcha. Mention the tap room. Mention the tap room.
Yeah. So so we launched it, and after this
Yeah.
call is over, I have to immediately drive to Nashik and then be there to receive the people who are coming in to check our meets out. And we have received a lot of inquiries and bookings, so it's going to be a full house. We are going to sell a
Oh.
lot today. It's going to be fun.
Oh. Well, please do I need to let you go now? I don't know what your day looks like over there. I've had you on for more than an hour now, and I hate to consume more of your time than necessary.
So no, I ideally I would like to be on my way in a half hour's time. So
Okay. Yeah, we'll get you out of here in the next couple minutes, so you have plenty of time to finish getting ready and stuff like that. So, um, like I said, so what's in the store? So you got the tap room coming up, but what's the future? You guys have a core 6 meads. You're saying maybe expanding that out. If the testing results come out to another seventh mead, most of them are hydromels. You got a couple standards. Do you plan on releasing any dessert meads at all, just to kind of say round out the profile? Because there are
we
people
should,
out there that do like dessert
we
meads.
should, right? Yeah. Maybe we will.
Hey,
Ashwini
it'd
should
be
have been.
your first one should be our collab.
Oh yeah, that can be our collab definitely. Let's analyze on that now, right here, right now.
Yes, yes, damn. Now you don't even have to worry about doing one. Say, oh, sorry, can't do it. Can't do a sweet one. We got that one bookmarked already. I love it. So what is it? What's one thing that you want people to know about Cerana Meadery that might not, be known already or might be understated? Because you guys do a lot of stuff. You guys seem to be doing a lot of advocacy for the brand. And you've been in there for, like I said, coming up on 4.5, 5 years coming up here in November. What's something that you feel, like I said, is understated or not well known about Cerana Meadery?
Mm. So we've been pretty vocal about what we stand for on our social media or any marketing activity that we do. But I think our volume is very low. That needs to be turned high up, and Taproom is probably going to do that. Help us with that. What we stand for is we are true to craft brand. We will not compromise even a cent on anything that we do when it comes to our mead making. Our ingredients, as I said, I think, a lot of people who are core business people said that, you are silly to go and ask for more expensive honey when you are getting same kind of honey for a cheaper rate from a brood. But that is not something that we
Yeah,
stand for. We want the honey to be ethically sourced. We don't want to steal the honeybees that they use for their own sustenance. We want to use ingredients which are as locally sourced as possible to reduce the
yeah,
carbon footprint. The reason why we decided to walk this very hard path of establishing a whole different category when even wine was struggling in India is because we strongly believe in uh, mead being the so our common hashtag on all our social media posts is choose mead. Choose mead.
okay,
Once in a while, instead of going out with your friend for a pint of beer or a glass of wine, go and have some mead. So
yeah,
that is what we want mead to become a choice by choice, not because somebody else is forcing you to drink it.
yeah,
You have to want to drink mead. It is okay if it is any mead. It doesn't necessarily have to be Cerana. But go and drink good mead. Go and drink mead from a brand that is truly doing something craft, truly, doing something good for the society. And that is what we stand for, true to craft meads. That is what we stand for. And I would like for everyone to know that right from the honey that we use, they may be bad business decisions, but that is who we are. We stand by what we do, and these are the meads that you can absolutely, with your eyes closed, you can drink and know that nothing artificial or synthetic has gone into them. So
You know what? I don't think I could have said. I can't add to that. I think you said it phenomenally. Bad business decisions lead to phenomenal tasting mead. Um, Thank you so much, Yogini, for joining me tonight. I know you've got things going on today, so I'm gonna let you get out of here so you got time to get ready for all those. But again, thank you so much for you and Miss Ashwini for joining me earlier. I hope to be able to try your mead someday and do a collab and all that stuff. I know we had some ton of viewers today. You have clearly a wide audience. I see how that Moonshine Meadery jumped in back there. Hope those guys wish them the best and everything. Another India Meadery over there. So again, like I said, thank you so much. And I feel like we just scratched the surface. So I hope you guys will both join me again in the future for a continuation of this conversation.
surely we will do that. Thank you so much for having us, TK.
Oh, thank you so much, Yogini. And tell Miss Ashwini I said hi and thank you again as well. Have a great rest of your evening
Thank you.
or day.
Yes.
So-
Yeah. Bye-bye.
Bye. Oh, man, that was awesome. Thank you, everybody, for joining me for a live discussion. I love the international conversations. I always get to learn so much about mead from other places besides America. One thing I didn't get to ask them about was um, historical styles that may be in India. Because a lot of time when you talk about historical styles in mead making, you think Polish styles, or the ones that get brought up are Polish styles, or traditional styles, maybe say like a Tej or something from Ethiopia. So I would really love to hear about some um, Indian traditional mead styles, if they have any of those, or if they have like a historical program. But that's for next time. Always got more stuff to talk about. So thank you for joining me today. I will see you guys on Wednesday. I believe I'm talking with Juniper Tree Meadery here out of the States. So go ahead and give them a like, a follow, a look, all that stuff. Appreciate everybody, all the follows, the likes, the love. Have a fantastic weekend. Peace.